Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that is loud, loud opinions, loud achievements, loud announcements. People love to show what they're doing, what they're building, who they're becoming. And listen, I get it. It feels good to be noticed. It feels good to be recognized. But can I tell you something today? The most powerful growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet, in the background, in the unseen places of your life where nobody's watching but God. Think about this. Before a tree ever breaks through the soil and stretches its branches toward the sky, it's spending time growing down. The roots have to go deep before the tree can grow tall, and those roots, they grow in the dark. Underground, silent, unseen. Nobody claps for the roots. Nobody celebrates them. But without them, the tree doesn't stand. That's how your life works too. Quiet progress is still progress, and in many ways, it's the most important kind of progress. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to show people how far we've come that we miss what God is doing in the depths of our hearts. We want to post about it, tweet about it, talk about it, but there are seasons, necessary seasons, where God says, no, this one's just for me and you. And let me tell you something, friend. What God builds in the quiet, He will reveal in the right time. Don't despise your quiet season. Don't rush out of it. That time when it feels like nothing's happening, that's usually when everything is happening. God is maturing you. He's refining your character. He's teaching you things that can't be taught in the spotlight. Some lessons require silence. Some breakthroughs require stillness. Some of the most beautiful transformations take place in the parts of your life where no one else can see. When I first started working on myself, my habits, my mindset, even my walk with God, it wasn't flashy. It wasn't Instagram worthy. It was me, alone with God, learning how to be patient when I felt like screaming, learning how to forgive when I wanted to stay angry, learning how to keep going when I saw no results. That's quiet progress. Nobody was cheering me on, and to be honest, sometimes I didn't even feel like cheering for myself. But I stayed with it, I pressed in, and now, years later, people see the fruit and they say, wow, how did you get there? And I just smile because I know it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in the spotlight. It happened in the quiet. That's where the real work gets done. Let me ask you something. Are you willing to grow when no one's watching? Are you willing to keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep praying, keep sowing seeds, even when it feels like nothing is coming from it? Because that's faith. That's discipline. That's obedience. And God rewards those things. Sometimes we look at others and feel like we're falling behind because we're not seeing the same kind of public success. But let me encourage you, what you're building in silence has substance. It's not just about the show, it's about the strength. God is not in a hurry. And if you stay faithful, if you stay rooted, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more grounded than you ever imagined. You don't need to tell the world everything you're working on. You don't need to explain yourself to everybody. Your progress might not be loud, but that doesn't make it any less real. Don't overlook the value of private victories. Don't overlook how far you've come just because no one else sees it. God sees it, and He honors that kind of growth. Have you ever watched God move in your life and thought, I don't see anything changing. Is He even doing anything? I think we've all been there. We pray, we believe, we try to walk in obedience, but it feels like nothing's shifting. And yet something is happening, we just can't see it yet. See, God is not loud and flashy all the time. He's not always going to show up with fireworks and trumpet blasts. Sometimes His greatest work is done behind the scenes, in the background, where your eyes can't go, but your faith must. One of the hardest things to accept is that God's timeline doesn't always match ours. We want the miracle now. We want the breakthrough by next week. We want the promotion, the relationship, the healing, the clarity yesterday. But God's not rushing. He's not scrambling like we are. He's deliberate. He's intentional. He's preparing things in ways that are far deeper than what we can comprehend in the moment. And that means that sometimes while we're asking, where is God? He's already working it out behind the curtain. Let me tell you something personal. There have been times in my life where I thought, Lord, I'm doing everything I know how to do. I'm praying, I'm trusting, I'm showing up. Why does it feel like you're silent? But the truth is, just because God is silent doesn't mean He's still. He is never still when it comes to his children. He's always orchestrating, arranging, shifting, and preparing. You might not see the pieces moving, but that doesn't mean they're not. Think about Joseph in the Bible. God gave him a dream, an amazing promise about his future. But what happened first? He was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, wrongly imprisoned. And I'm sure he had moments where he wondered, where is God? I thought I was chosen. I thought I was called. But guess what? God was working the entire time. Joseph couldn't see it, but the very pit that was meant to bury him became the path to his promotion. But guess what? The word had to be put into the path to his promotion. And that's how God operates. He works in the waiting. He works in the wilderness. He works in the places that feel forgotten. Now here's the part that we sometimes miss. If God is working in the background, so can you. That means while he's preparing your promise, you keep preparing your character. While he's lining up the opportunity, you stay obedient in your daily life. Keep showing up. Keep doing the right thing when no one's applauding. Keep forgiving, keep serving, keep praising. That's your job. God takes care of the outcomes. You take care of the obedience. There is so much power in staying faithful when you can't see the reward yet. It's not easy, but it's essential. God's looking for people who trust him enough to keep moving, even when the road ahead is foggy. He's looking for people who say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I know you're doing something, so I'll keep going. It's like being backstage in a theater production. If you've ever been in a play, you know that all the big scene changes happen while the curtains are closed. The audience doesn't see the crew running around, moving props, adjusting lights, getting everything ready. But when that curtain opens, suddenly the whole stage is transformed. That's what God is doing in your life. He's rearranging the stage. You may feel like nothing's happening, but when the curtain opens, everything will be different. Your job is to stay in position. Keep rehearsing your part. Keep trusting the director. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to chase every answer or force every result. Rest in knowing that God is working even when it feels like he's not. And while he's working in the background, you can too. You can be developing your gifts, deepening your prayer life, learning how to rest in peace instead of reacting in fear. There's always something to do even when nothing looks like it's moving. Have you ever found yourself wanting to prove something to someone? Maybe they doubted you. Maybe they didn't support your dream. Maybe they said you'd never make it. And now there's this fire in you that wants to show them, look at me now. I understand that feeling. It's human. We all want to be seen. We want validation. But here's the truth. When your focus shifts to proving people wrong, you risk losing your peace. You start performing for people instead of living with purpose. And God never called you to perform. He called you to produce. There's a big difference between talking about what you're going to do and actually doing it. There's power in quiet, consistent action. You don't need to argue with people who don't believe in you. You don't need to post about every step you're taking. You don't have to clap back when someone underestimates you. Just keep going, stay focused, because eventually your results will speak louder than your explanations ever could. It's easy to get distracted by the need to be understood, but not everyone will understand your calling. Not everyone will get the vision God gave you. That's okay, they weren't supposed to. God didn't give them the blueprint, he gave it to you. So stop wasting your breath trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to build with you. Sometimes the best thing you can do is smile, stay silent, and keep building. Let your fruit do the talking. You know, Jesus didn't walk around trying to convince people who he was. He didn't get caught up in arguments about his identity. He just was. He did the work. He healed, he taught, he loved, and the results spoke for themselves. In fact, many of the people who doubted him ended up becoming followers after they saw what he produced. That's a good reminder for us. Your light doesn't need a spotlight. Just shine, just live it, just do the work God gave you, and let the results speak. When you try to fight every critic or respond to every hater, you end up drained and off course. You don't have to engage with every negative word. You don't have to post a comeback. You don't need to defend yourself all the time. Do you know what defending yourself constantly says? It says you're more worried about being right than being ready. And I don't know about you, but I want to be ready for what God's doing in my life, not wrapped up in proving myself to people who were never meant to understand me anyway. There's something really powerful about being able to say, I don't have to prove anything. I'm just going to be what God called me to be. That kind of confidence comes from time spent with the Lord. When you know who you are in Christ, you don't chase applause, and you don't panic when people question your worth. You know that your validation comes from above, not from the opinions of people who only see part of your story. Let's be honest, talk is cheap. You can say all the right things, you can write down vision boards, you can declare your goals online, you can tell everyone what you're going to do. But if you don't follow through, it doesn't mean much. People are watching what you do, not just what you say. And God's watching too. He blesses diligence. He honors consistency. He promotes the people who keep working behind the scenes with integrity even when no one's clapping. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is stay quiet and execute. No announcements, no debates, just actions, because you'll reach a point where the blessing on your life, the peace in your home, the fruit of your character, and the success of your obedience will speak volumes. And the people who once doubted you won't even need an explanation. They'll see it with their own eyes. They'll see what God has done through you. Not everything in your life needs to be shared. Not every dream needs to be discussed. Not every idea God gives you needs to be posted online or opened up for commentary. We live in a time where people feel pressured to make everything public, to explain every move, every step, every goal. But can I lovingly tell you today, some things are sacred. Some things are still growing. Some things are meant to be nurtured quietly and private with God before they're revealed to the world. When God gives you a dream, when he plants something inside of you, a vision, a purpose, an idea, it's like planting a seed. And let me ask you something. Would you dig up a seed every day just to show someone how it's doing? Of course not. If you did that, it would never grow. But that's exactly what we do when we share too soon, too often, or with the wrong people. Some folks don't water dreams, they trample them. They don't encourage, they discourage. And that's why you have to be wise about who gets access to your vision. Protecting your peace means recognizing that not everyone can handle your growth. Not everyone can be trusted with your process. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're being secretive, it means you're being discerning. There's a big difference. Discerning people don't let just anyone speak into their dreams. They understand the value of quiet development. They know that peace isn't just a luxury, it's a strategy. And if the enemy can't destroy you, he'll do his best to distract you. He'll send people to rattle your confidence, question your timing, stir up insecurity, and get you second-guessing what you already know God said. You don't need that kind of noise in your life. You need stillness. You need clarity. You need to be able to hear God's voice above all the others. That's why peace matters so much. It's not just about staying calm. It's about staying centered. When your peace is intact, your ears are open. Your heart is sensitive. Your decisions are led by wisdom, not emotion. There's a story in the Bible that really captures this. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, there were people who tried to stop him. They sent distractions, lies, threats, anything to pull him away from the work. But do you know what he said? He said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. That's how you protect your dream. That's how you guard your peace. You don't come down to argue with people who don't understand what you're building. You don't pause your purpose to answer every critic. You stay focused. You keep your hands on the work. And you let God take care of the noise. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that growth requires boundaries. That means setting limits around who you let speak into your life, what kind of conversations you entertain, and how much emotional energy you spend trying to be understood. It means knowing when to say, that's not good for me right now, or I'm not called to that, or I need to pull back and spend more time with God. Because let me tell you, peace is precious. And once you start valuing it, you won't trade it for drama, gossip, or approval anymore. Guarding your dreams also means protecting them from your own impatience. Sometimes we're not waiting on people, we're wrestling with ourselves. We want to make things happen faster. We want to see results now. But dreams take time. Purpose takes pruning. And God's not going to rush the process just because you're uncomfortable with the pace. He's more interested in building you than rushing you breakthrough. So trust his timing, rest in his pace. Some of the greatest blessings in life come when you learn how to walk quietly, listen closely, and obey fully. Even when nobody else understands what you're doing. Even when you feel like explaining. Even when you feel like defending your path. You don't have to. You just have to protect what God gave you. There's a kind of beauty that doesn't come from makeup or clothes or filters. Does it come from money or status or popularity? It comes from faithfulness. There's a glow, a strength, a shine that shows up on people who've stayed the course with God. People who've walked through trials, kept their integrity, kept their peace, and kept showing up even when no one was watching. Victory has a look, and it looks good on the faithful. We sometimes think of faithfulness as boring. We want the big moments, the fast success, the dramatic turnaround. But you know what? Heaven honors the ones who just kept going. The ones who got up when they didn't feel like it. The ones who forgave over and over. The ones who prayed with tears streaming down their faces and still trusted God anyway. Faithfulness doesn't always feel good in the moment, but over time, it builds a life that cannot be shaken. There's a scripture in Galatians 6:9 that says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." That due season is coming, but it doesn't come to the flashy. It doesn't come to the loud. It comes to the faithful, the ones who refuse to quit even when it seemed like nothing was happening. And when that victory finally shows up, it's not just a win, it's a reward, a harvest, a testimony. You'll walk into that blessing and it won't just look good on the outside. It'll match what's been happening on the inside. See, God doesn't just give victories, he prepares people for them. He doesn't want you to win and then lose your mind. He wants you to carry the weight of that blessing with character, with wisdom, with humility. That's why the road is sometimes long. That's why you go through certain seasons where you feel like you're being stretched, challenged, tested. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Because when God does elevate you, it's not going to be sloppy. It's going to be styled with grace, with excellence, with beauty that only comes from someone who's been refined in the fire and didn't walk away. Have you ever seen someone walk into a season of blessing and you could just feel that it wasn't luck, it was legacy? You could tell they didn't just stumble into success. They'd been faithful. They'd been praying in private. They'd been sowing seeds year after year. They've been sowing seeds year after year. That kind of win carries weight. It's not about performance. It's not about appearance. It's about depth. Because when your roots go deep, your fruit will last. Let me tell you, faithfulness looks good on a marriage. It looks good on parenting. It looks good on someone's calling, on someone's business, on someone's ministry. When you stick with something through every season, the easy and the hard, the exciting and the mundane, you build a strength that shines. And it's not about perfection. It's not about always getting it right. It's about staying in the game, staying surrendered, staying connected to God when it would have been easier to quit. You know what else? Victory looks good on the ones who didn't try to take shortcuts, the ones who didn't manipulate or rush or pretend, the ones who let God write the story instead of trying to edit it themselves. Because when you do it God's way, you don't just win, you win with style, with dignity, with peace, with your soul still intact. You don't have to step on others to rise. You don't have to hustle to prove your worth. You can rest in knowing that obedience always produces overflow in the right time. There are people watching you right now who don't understand why you haven't given up. They don't see why you're still trusting, still serving, still believing. But what they don't know is that God is building something in you. And when the victory shows up, it's not just going to change your life. It's going to speak to everyone who ever questioned your path. They'll look at you and wonder, how did they do it? And the answer will be simple: faithfulness.